How to go from 30 to 10% body fat. We're going to talk through a client transformation that recently just finished, and hopefully you can get a lot of value from this. If you're anywhere between 20 and 30% body fat, you should hopefully gain a lot of knowledge from this process. We're going to talk about the intricacies, the setup, how we got there, challenges that we faced and how we overcame them, and then like what program and what nutrition we set up for this to get this style of result. So let's roll in. If you don't know me, my name is Tom Sergi, and I run the Gorilla Platoon, which is essentially a physique transformation program where we get results like this, which is pretty cool and great job for me to do. So it's always nice to speak about them and pass on the information, lessons learned, and things we could have done better during this transformation, so you guys can ultimately make the better choices and improvements off the back of people that have lived and like done it live. So I'm not going to like try and give you any fancy fluff. It's just, this is what we did, this is what got the result, and hopefully you can take it and use it in your own transformation. So my promise to you is by the end of this video, you'll know how to go from 30 down to 10% body fat. It's a big fucking claim. So if I deliver on that, you think it's a good video, subscribe once you've watched the whole thing. If not, fair enough. So the client's goal, he wanted to be jacked and shredded for his holiday to Ibiza, which I believe is coming up in 3 weeks' time. Obviously, from the starting point that you can see, we had a lot of work to do. We had a lot of work to do to get him in tip-top shape for his holiday coming up. This is a common goal across most men. You want to look spectacular when you go on holiday, and rightly so, absolutely rightly so. You deserve to look the best you possibly can. Now, if you kind of left it a little bit late, because I do appreciate it is June now, if you're watching this as I'm just posting it, then you may have thought, I fucked up a bit here, I could have got in better condition for the summer. Feel the pain, embrace the pain that you should have got in better shape, but live from that mistake and do better next time, and set yourself up early enough. If you start at 30% body fat, it's going to take you, 5, maybe 6 months to get down to that point, because if you're 30% body fat, you need to drop about 20 kilo. Like we dropped 20 kilo there, but in a good week of adherence with your proper setting everything up, you'll drop a kilo a week. But there'll be things that come up. The longer the time frame, the more things that could crop up and stop you from getting to the goal in the time frame. So if you don't allow enough time to get there, you're not going to get there in time. So this is for the people that are starting at 30 or in around 30% body fat. So what we then wanted to look at was the setup. So we're going to look at the training split we decided to go for, the starting food intake and the starting output intake. First, with his start point then. So we understood his body weight was 107 kg, body fat percentage around about 30%, and the goal that we needed to get to was around 87 kg, 10% body fat. Roughly speaking, don't like hold me to ransom to this, but you can expect to see about a percentage of body fat equate to around 0.8 of a kilogram. So the numbers, and bearing in mind, when I estimate the rough scale weight they're going to get down to, when you're starting at 30%, I'm not going to be able to pinpoint the exact scale weight that you're going to be, but it doesn't matter because we're not aiming to pinpoint the scale weight. We're not even that bothered about the scale weight in general. It's just a data point. What did we come here for? We came here for the visual clean-cut abs and looking jacked. So actually, what's the most important is the visuals. You may read a certain scale weight and they may be a lot lower than you wanted it to be, or it may actually be a bit higher than you thought the goal needed to be. The point is, how do you look visually? And when you're aiming off from 30% down to 10, there's a big window in that. As well, when you first come, you may be at 107, but you may drop 3 kilos straight away, just in the fact you will drop water weight straight away, you'll drop muscle glycogen, you'll reduce inflammation. So you'll find actually that you haven't lost kilos of fat in the beginning, you'll have lost like water weight and stuff. So that's why it can be more, it can be slightly less. So that's just something to consider. But this was his start point. Now you may be thinking, how did I work out his start point? And I'm going to show you a tool and a resource that I've got available to do so that you could plug your data into that and then get out your necessary input data that you need then to go into the plan. So let's roll into that now. So what we wanted to establish then was understanding first body fat percentage. Now I've done a video on how to measure your body fat at home, but what you really want to look at here is relative to your photo to this pre-recorded graphic. Now potentially 30% is maybe a touch harsh. Maybe it was in between the two and around 27, but when you get past 25%, Like, it's harder to really pinpoint the level of body fat that you're currently carrying. Likewise, if you've got leaner and leaner, it's a much easier to see, of course. Like, if you try and even look at the difference between 35 and 40, hard to really even tell the difference, isn't it? And it doesn't matter so much because you can get from 40 to 35 very fucking quickly. A lot quicker than you can get from 15 to 10, as you could probably imagine. So from there, we got his data, we understood his lean body mass, and we understood his RMR, his resting metabolic rate. Now, this guy was a soldier, he was a paratrooper, so his activity level, generally speaking, is pretty darn high. So actually higher than most people I really work with. So we wanted to get his activity multiplier and have it on a 1.75. For context, the average person that I put on plan is around a 155. The average person being 10,000 steps a day, 3 to 5 sessions a week. If you're like really desk bound sedentary, you're looking at 135. And what you're doing is you're timesing your RMR by this to give you a set amount of maintenance. Now, from there, we need to put you in a deficit. You can, if you are anywhere from above 30, you want to be going at least a 1% drop, and it's quite aggressive. You can expect that to be around about 1,000 calories. If you're sat from anywhere, I'd say like 23 up to around 30, you want to go 0.7 drop, and again, it's going to be a fair drop. If we look here, you've got just shy of 3.5, and he was on pretty much 900 calorie, well, it was exactly 824 calorie difference there. And likewise, if you're, again, this is 30% body fat, but if you're coming in around anywhere from 23, 20 to 17, then you could go in at a lot less of a deficit, of course, because you're just carrying significantly less body fat. So that's just something to consider when you're planning your start point. So we got his overall target, 2655 as his initial calorie target. Now, this is an estimate, of course, like, we will start you on that, and it's based on calculations, and it's relatively accurate, but what you're going to need to do that first week, and this is why the first point is track all fucking data, mate. Whatever you do, just make sure you're tracking that data. Scale weight, photos, food, sleep, output through steps and cardio. Track all that data. Because what you can do is you can run that for a week. You will get data on the information that you've got there. So you ran that for a week, you lost 0.8 of a kilogram. That's pretty good. You can continue on that. You did that for a week, you lost 0.5. That's not really good enough, especially not at the beginning. You need to make that deficit greater. Or you lost 2 kilo. To be honest, if you're 30% body fat, lost 2 kilo, I'd still keep you on exactly that plan, so you'd be absolutely fine. But let's say you were 20%, dropping 2 kilo a week, maybe a little bit too much. You then may want to bring the food up slightly. But it's very rare. It's very rare that I've needed to bring food up. The only times I would need to do that is if someone has got a mad busy event coming up, where they just need a bit more fuel to get them through that event without them spanking in. So protein for this guy needed to be high at 180, fats around 60, which is good because it gives us room to play with and things to pull with the fats, and then carbs sat at 350. So that was the initial setup that we took for with the feeding, and then I'll give you the exact food that we were, or I'll give you the food types. Obviously, we've adjusted his plan many times, so it's not going to read the number that you want like through the way we came down for it. But essentially, we would run meal 1, berries, scoop of protein, oats, and there was also a scoop of peanut butter back then when we were starting higher. Chicken breast, mixed veg, basmati rice for the meal 2, oats and jam as the pre-gym. And again, why is oats in twice? Well, it's quite fibrous, quite filling, and generally when you're dieting down, you want that cement-like food to really blow up in your stomach. But for some of you, oats won't digest too well before the workout. Swap it out for higher GI foods, maybe bread. It'll just sit a bit nicer before you work out. Post-gym, we actually went a little bit more aggressive on this, where we did put the bread and the jam. Now, bread and the jam, why is that in there as well? Well, either side of your workouts, you want carbohydrates that are higher in GI. So you eat them, they go straight into the bloodstream, and you get the effect of them very, very quickly. You need it before because you can use the energy straight away, and you need it straight after because you've just burnt a shit ton of your body. To be honest, when you've worked out, of course your body needs protein, but your body needs carbs. You've just burnt a shit ton of carbs. It wants that put back in. On to the evening meals, where we had chicken breast, mixed vegetables. We didn't have watermelon in at the time. That's what we finished with. But we did have rice. And then we finished the day with low-fat yogurt, dark chocolate, and berries. And that was the meal plan that we started on. It wasn't what we finished on because, of course, and I'll go on to after why you need to tweak things as you go through. But that was the overall meal plan. And to be honest, I've done videos in the past on exact meal plan to go from 10% to 30%. And I've shown at length what we eat. So I just wanted to quickly show you again through that. The next thing I wanted to show you was his programming. So what did we do in order to get like a pretty nice physique, which we did at the end? We followed a 5-day training split. Now, the reason I do this training split pretty much for most clients, in most cases, if they can train 5 days, is it gives a good attention when developing an aesthetic body. And the reason for that is it allocates 4 sessions towards the upper body, which allows us plenty of volume, plenty of variety from exercises. Now, there's 1 day for legs. Legs is important, and you should absolutely train legs 100% once a week. But if I train legs twice per week when we're dieting, bearing in mind legs does accumulate the most amount of fatigue, and this is really good for bulking, and I felt this yesterday, it's very good for spiking appetite. When you're bulking, fucking leg day is actually pretty cool because you're ready to smash all that food back in later on in the day. But when you're dieting, you don't want to feel that massive appetite spike. This is why we also need to be selective with the type of cardios that we're doing, because if you send your appetite through the roof, you're just going to have a harder time with dieting. So let's be honest. So we don't want fatigue and we don't want high appetite. So that's why you only want to run legs once per week, but you don't want to skip it out completely. So on the push session, we did 45 degree incline bench flies. We are normally run a pec deck, but if your gym doesn't have one, cable flies it is. Incline dumbbell press, and then a flat plate machine loaded chest press. If you've watched my recent video on how to know if you're training hard enough, you know that we talk about exercises that hit the muscle in the lengthened position and shortened position, and exercises that will fail technically and then fail mechanically, and why they're important to have both in the program, not that one is better than the other. Machine shoulder chest press, machine shoulder press, get it right. Dumbbell side lateral raises, crossbody tricep extension, and then dumbbell skull crushers. If you are really looking to bring up the triceps, I've started to program tricep dips, and specifically then making them loadable, because you will find skull crushers is a good exercise, but tricep dips is much more loadable. If something's more loadable, you can put more stress through the muscle. So that's why I'm starting to tweak that now. On the pull day, we've got pretty much everything I would cover myself and what has grown me a really good back. If you've seen videos previously on the channel, single arm lat pull down, dumbbell row or a chest supported T-bar row. Either way, you're going to do it chest supported, but it's either with dumbbells or T-bar, what you got available in your gym. Single arm cable row, cross body hammer curl, incline dumbbell curls, and a rear delt fly. On the leg day, leg extension, seated leg curl, machine leg press, walking lunges, seated calf raise, and decline ab crunch. Notice no back squat or deadlift. Why? Well, when we're training, I actually want to work the working muscle, and I want to support everything else so we can focus on the working muscle. And I would argue in some ways that's kind of more functional, because what you wanted to do was grow big quads. So functionally, it's not better to back squat, it's better to just put as much load as you can through the working muscle. But it's not worth going into whether back squat is better than leg press, because they're pros and cons for both great exercise. And I'm not here on this channel to try and be like, this is better than this, because when people start to make those claims, they kind of like, they don't really know what they're talking about, to tell you the truth. If I've done it in the past, apologies, maybe sometimes I get excited. Then we ran the rest day, then we hit chest and back. Chest and back, cable flies again. Now we've got flat dumbbell instead of an incline, and we've got incline machine instead of flat machine. Pull-ups, which we're then going to load up once we're hitting the upper tier of the rep range. Dumbbell bent over rows, single arm cable row, and rear delt flies. Rounding off, of course, we want an attention day for the arms and the delts. Lean away cable lateral raises, dumbbell shoulder press, side raises, standing cable, preacher curl, ab crunch, rope push down, and overhead cable tricep extension. And that was the training split that we had him on to build up an aesthetic body. So we've done his training split. We know his started food intake and output of the foods that he was eating. What output did we start in with? Well, conveniently, obviously being a paratrooper, he was doing a lot of cardio fitness anyway, at least 2 to 3 sessions a week, carrying a rucksack, running for miles. So his output was already high, and that's why, remember, we matched his calories that were high. But we also wanted to make sure he was achieving 10,000 steps a day. Now from there, we wanted to know, was he making progress? How did we know if he was making progress? Well, for him, he wanted to be dropping at least 1 kilogram per week. So what would we do if he didn't drop 1 kilogram per week? Well, going back to the point of, and let's talk about you here instead of him. You have set yourself up, you've used a calorie calculator, you've got your training program, you've set your macros, carbs, fats, and proteins, you've set out your diet plan to fit those macros. You're then going to run that for a week, and as we just said, you're going to track all of the data. So then that's going to give you a certain outcome at the end of the week. If you dropped 1 kilogram per week, keep everything the same, don't change anything. If, however, you didn't achieve that kilogram, in the very first week, I would say pull from food before going cardio. Just for the first week, because you've just gone too high. The quickest way to get that down will be just to pull from food, and you can definitely afford to in the beginning where you carry more body fat. So it's at that point there you then drop. Now what you're going to do is you're going to run the plan again for the next week, and you are going to track all of the data. Bear in mind to take photos weekly as well. If you still didn't see enough of a drop, then you need to create the deficit even more. If you're already on lower-ish calories, then you're going to need to start climbing the cardio. So you're going to have to start adding it 20 minutes daily across the week. If you are seeing the progress, then you're going to rinse that out again for as long as you can. Remember, this is like a dosage, a formula that we put into your body. We want to last and milk that for as long as it can. I've got a client, when I do his video, like we've done for all the others, he has lost 15 kilos in 10 weeks, and we haven't touched the plan since he started. Bearing in mind, okay, his starting point was he was carrying a lot of weight, but trust me when I say, week in, week out, bang, 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 bang. And as a coach, I like making change. I like seeing something and making the change because I like doing work, because then I feel like I've given value. But for 10 weeks on the balance, I've had said, good work, we don't change anything. And it actually takes more balls for me to sit there and not make changes to a plan that is working, because you feel like you should always be doing something. But in this case, if it's working for you, rinse that out until it doesn't, because then you're going to pull a lever, i.e. cardio in or food taken out, to then get that next response. And you will just continue doing that until you get down to the goal. Excuse me. Challenges. For most people, your challenges will be weekends away, and it will be meals out, dinners out, or having to stay out of a hotel. I have got 2 documents for you that I'm going to show you right now that are going to solve that solution. So it is inevitable that during your transformation, especially if it's a long one, you are going to need to eat out. There will come a point where you need to eat out. Do I want you to eat out? Fuck no. Would it be better if you didn't? Of course, absolutely. However, there will be times where socially you need to eat out, and that's fine. It's better to have a plan in place rather than to just play ignorant for it. So if you need to eat out, this is what you will do. You will ideally let your coach know, or yourself in this case, early enough that you are going to have to eat out. So then what you can do is plan ahead. Now, what I would suggest is always to bank some calories. 100 a day, bank them up, that's 500 to save them for that given day. Or you've got the chance to increase output 10 minutes per day, bank it that way. So you've got that. On the actual day of the race, you've also got the daily amount of input that you can manipulate. Now, what you don't want to do is pull any protein out of the diet. That is your staple, that stays in. Your steps stay in, your cardio stays in. If it's a training day, then you need to be a little bit more strategic, where you'll put the carbs in and around the workout. And that way your performance is not impeded, and then the recovery is happening straight away after. And then that way you've allocated the rest of your food to that meal out. So either way, you want to be eating out with an extra 500, and then you've also created a deficit inside the day as well. That is gold standard. Now all we need to do is make sure that when you are out, you don't undo all of that smart and really good work. Most of the time, you're probably not going to be eating out for breakfast, but just in case you are, stay away from fried eggs, fruit juice, bread, whole egg omelets, and lattes. Not that any of these are bad foods, but you always want to go for a leaner option than a fattier option, especially if you're eating out, because it's just less calories, physically. So go for poached eggs instead of fried eggs. Egg white omelets with veggies instead of whole eggs. Greek yogurt, 0% fat. Fruit only on a training day. Otherwise, no point really having it. And then black coffee instead of lattes. Now, more than likely, it's either going to be a lunch or a dinner, evening meal out. What you really want to stay away from, and this may sound obvious, but I think it's important to staple these, that you leave this video knowing, do not eat this. When I need to eat out, eat this instead. So you've got fried chicken or fish, obviously a big no-no. Burgers and red meat in general. Generally, I would say stay away from that. Even steaks. Steaks aren't bad. Don't get me wrong, steaks are fucking very good for you. Absolutely. But it might just serve you to just get a leaner food, just because of, remember, are they going to cook a steak in butter versus a chicken breast? Which one's probably going to be cooked in butter? Which one's going to come with more calories? So, food for thought. Salmon or mackerel, again, fattier, not bad, just fattier, that's all. Creamy soups or creamy sauces, burgers and wraps, Burgers in there twice, just in case we forgot. And then fries and sweet potato fries. Instead, we want to have chicken that is baked or grilled, white fish or seafood as opposed to salmon or mackerel, veggies not to be cooked in oil or butter, in which case probably best just not to have the veggies. But then I would actually say get veggies, because you're going to get your lean protein, and then the veggies will bolster the meal and make it feel like you're eating more and kind of make your meal time the same amount as the person you're also eating with. Homemade soups as opposed to creamy soups, or like, you know, the broth style soups. Those ones are generally lower in calories as well. A lettuce wrap, if you're a fucking lettuce, instead of a breaded wrap. Sauces, if you can ask for them on the side, brilliant. And go for baked or sweet potato over the fries. Dessert and alcohol, like desserts, fuck desserts. You know, you have no grace from me for having desserts, so no desserts. Fruit maybe, or a latte then. You're probably going to need alcohol at some point, or this could be a separate point that you had to drink out, you didn't have to eat out. Then it's a case of go for some form of a zero calorie mixer that's going to then go with gin, tequila or vodka, one shot, around 100 calories. Work out how many of them you can have with 0 calorie mixer. Not the best drink, but you're being social, you're doing your thing. You're probably not going to get inside out blooded anyway. And then you'll roll through that. And then that way you can stay on plan. So that is how I would eat out if I needed to. Let's look at if you need to live out of somewhere that's not congruent for where you were staying. So what we have here is a living out of a hotel meal plan. And what we've done is we've taken your meal plan, or the rough one that you would be using. We've worked out what meals you would normally eat, and then we want to replicate them from what you can buy at a supermarket that you don't have to cook. Now, the oats, peanut butter, and protein, generally speaking, you'll be okay with that, because you can take your oats in a tub, you can take your protein, obviously, and you can take the peanut butter. You just add hot water to it from a kettle that's probably going to be in a hotel room, bind it together, and you're golden. The chicken breast and the rice meal. What you can do is you can buy the cooked chicken with the salad, and then also you can buy pre-cooked rice that you're then going to add into that. Or if you're lower in calories, you will ditch the rice from that. If you want a pre-workout little snack, these like cereal bars they're good for like a one-off, quite sugary, be aware, very like high GI, digest quickly, good for energy, yes, sound. Not the best thing to always have, but if you didn't want to have oats again, which you still could do, and add your jam to it, that wouldn't be a problem. You can still have bread, you just wouldn't be able to toast it. Not a bad option, but if you need something from the shop, real quick, real fast, wouldn't be a bad option, but brush your teeth straight away after it. Just saying. Finish in the gym, you want to get some form of a shake. Now, I've put this one on here that you get from the supermarket. Gold standard would be your gym make shakes, and you get one straight from there, and then you're just squared away. Again, going in for that chicken evening meal, we're not going to be able to run pasta, so you're going to have it with rice instead. And using the salad and the pre-cooked chicken, you'd buy a pack and it would do you for both meals anyway, so you'd be sound with that. But you're going to want some form of like hot sauce just to put on it, otherwise it's not going to be too tasteful, let's be honest. And then that yogurt evening meal, you could go for a protein yogurt, that'd be quite good just to bolster it up. But the point is, everything you've got here, you don't need to cook it. You may need to heat it up. If you haven't got a microwave, then fuck it, you're on hard routine and you're just going to have to like eat it cold, or like boil the kettle, fill the sink up in the hotel room, sit it in a bowl and just wait for it to heat. Hey, come on, I'm putting up with ideas for you here. So that's food for thought. If you need to get it from a shop because you haven't got anywhere to cook, this is the next thing of what I'd be doing. Okay, so at this point we've understood, we set him up relative to his body composition. What we needed to set him up with was his training split, his input from calories, his macros, what he was going to eat for that, and then also his like output cardio and steps. Then we needed to work out, well, how are we going to make sure he makes progress? We've spoke at length on how to tweak that and make the data changes with that. One thing I don't think I've spoken to you about actually is the use of cardio. Now, when you use cardio, try to do something that is non-impact. This didn't always happen for him because being in the military, we put a bag on our back and we run, and that's as good as impact. Not only are we running, we're running with extra load, so we're smashing the joints with impact. But in your case, if you don't have to do that, which hopefully, well, not all of you will watching, what you will want to do is something that's non-impact. So do the Stairmaster, if you can keep your heart rate low enough, incline treadmill, cross trainer, or the bike, because you can do this daily. Start your cardio at 20 minutes daily, and by the end, you're going to need to push that cardio probably all the way up to 60. The reason I'll say push the cardio up as high as you can is you can keep food higher. If you can keep food higher, you'll keep yourself in a better mental state, but most importantly, you'll be able to drive that performance in the gym. Never pull your calories from around the workout, so your pre and your post gym carbs don't get touched, and ideally maybe your carbs that are going in, you want to pull from the furthest away from the workout and then work your way back in. But there will come a point where you need to pull from food, but ideally keep sending cardio up first, then start coming down from food right towards the very end. Until that point, like, keep food as high as you can, because what is the most important point for getting this level of result is training stimulus. So if you can train hard for the amount of time that you're there, you will make the physique look like this. If you lose the training stimulus, it don't matter how much protein you're eating, you'll lose muscle. So the main aim is to train fucking hard. So actually it would serve you to always keep carbs high. If you want to work out which macro to pull from, I'd probably start going from fats towards the back end. You're never going to be on zero fat. The reason being there's fat in absolutely anything. So it's impossible to have a zero fat diet unless you literally just like drank water. So for that reason, your fat will go first. Then obviously you're going to bring down from carbs. Ideally don't touch the protein, but sometimes, you know what? If it means you have a bit more carbs, it keeps your training performance up here versus having a little bit more protein. Bearing in mind training stimulus was the most important part of retaining and building tissue, then I would argue pull the protein down just a touch. But it shouldn't get to that unless it's right at the very end, right towards the end, right in the depths of the absolute diet. So you'll be okay with that. Now, what is next? So cool, we've got into the promised land. He looks fucking spectacular. What is next? Well, what you want to do from this point here is don't just go straight to maintenance. Whatever calories you're on as you're getting to the end, you need to reverse your way back out of it. Now, let me tell you, that is probably the worst part of it all, because at least when you're dieted down, you've got the overall goal you're pushing to, but now you've hit the goal. To keep your discipline to the food intake is a lot harder. It doesn't mean, you will be able to do it because you've dieted yourself all the way down. Of course you'll be able to do it, but it's going to be hard and you just need to be aware of that. So what you're going to do is increase calories. Again, increasing carbs around the workout for training stimulus. Straight away you're going to need to put like 200, 250 calories on in that first week. Run everything the same. See how the scale weight got on. It should go up a little bit from holding more water through glycogen in the muscle. That's okay. But what you're looking to do is over the course of around 4 to 6 weeks is reverse your way from the depths of your diet back to maintenance. And that way you will never put on too much body fat, put on too much water weight, because the main aim is to hold the condition, but then getting you to consuming your normal level of feeding and food. Because the goal was never to run you on fucking really low calories for the rest of your life so you can keep this condition. The goal is to look like that and to be a normal human being, which you absolutely can do. And especially in his case, where he finished last week and we're 1 week into the reverse, we've got 3 weeks now. We still want to bring the food back up, because when he goes on holiday, the fact we had time for reverse, when he drinks, when he eats, he's not going to undo the condition as bad as if he went holiday, bang, straight away out the door. Because you're going to go low cal, fucking higher cal, and there's going to be some, you're just going to add a lot of fluid around the midsection. So that's something to consider if you've got the time. If you ain't got the time, it is what it is. Get yourself to that point. You just have to maybe do a little cut off the back of it, off the back of your holiday, wash it back out, and then reverse out properly. So that is everything in terms of how we got to the result. I hope it was concise enough and easy enough for you to digest and to understand. I try not to make these so rambly. Maybe I do. You can tell me in the comments. I don't mind. It doesn't hurt my feelings. It's important that I improve for the sake of delivering value to you guys. So yeah, hopefully it was concise, to the point. You understood the process and the outline of how to get there with the challenges and how to overcome them. If you found it useful, genuinely, if you found it useful, subscribe. If you didn't, don't. It's absolutely fine. And I will see you in the next video.